we can start with this last presentation for today with more in development topic, which is the hydrogen data collection within the IEA. Just as a first introductory note, this we don't. You didn't share. Sorry. That's for the one. So as I was saying, as a first introductory introduction, this new data collection has been developed in partnership with the European Energy Commission, the Eurostat, to have a common methodology for data collection of hydrogen with them. And we also shared our work with ASEAN and the United Nations Statistical Division, so that we are already trying to push for a more common and shared methodology. But that needs said at the very introduction of this day, we want to make sure that everybody can count apples the same way. So we want to push for a shared approach of this new energy commodity data collection. So what we will be presenting today, we'll first review some key hydrogen trends coming from analyst colleague and their global hydrogen review publication, which is available for free on our website. If you're interested, please don't hesitate to go check it. It's extremely interesting read and has a lot of information on the current market and current developments that are happening all over the world. And then we'll discuss the key concepts that we are basing our methodology on for this new data collection and some key points for the hydrogen data reporting in our questionnaire. One last thing before we start with the trends. Currently, we have a version of this new annual questionnaire that is available on our website. You can just Google IEA hydrogen questionnaire. You can find it this way. It's for now, the calculation has not started because it was not mandatory for any of our member countries, but hopefully next year we will have official data submitted to us and we will start actually publishing and working on the actual data. For now, we have mostly been developing the methodology and the data system with the OECD member countries. But this is accessible for all countries all over the world. So wherever you are, if you are interested in those topics and you have data you wish to share, please don't hesitate to contact us to discuss this. So first, some key hydrogen trends. So we'll see a quick overview, and then we'll discuss the evolutions and differences we already seen between production and demand. And we finish a little bit by discussing the trade of hydrogen in different forms right now. So first, the world overview of hydrogen. Hydrogen is not exactly a new energy commodity. It is used already a lot in specific petrochemicals and refinery activities, but it is now put forward on the global stage because it is recognized as an important option to help heavy industries reduce their carbon impact by switching to hydrogen fuel. Because the advantage of hydrogen is that when you burn it, you only produce water, which is a far less potent greenhouse gases. Still one, but it's nothing too nefarious there. And a lot of the net zero pledges that were made by countries to engage themselves to reach net zero by 2030 or by 2050, depending on the country, are relying a lot on transforming their industries into switching from classic fossil fuel to green hydrogen. So this is an important factor for policy announcement and first development of projects. But right now, at the current day, we have a lack of demand for low emission hydrogen. We will see a bit into the slide what it means. But that means that for now, we have a difficulty to insert and create new infrastructure and production ways because we don't have the demand yet from companies or private sector for this type of fuel. In any case, this needs new technologies and new electromobility to collect. So we needed a new methodology that is what we have been working on in the industry for the last 3 years now. So right now, hydrogen demand is already growing, but we see every year more and more demand for hydrogen because of development of specific industries. But at the same time, we don't see a growth of the demand of low emission hydrogen because overall, right now, as you can see on the graph, most of the production is coming from fossil fuel activities, mostly refining industries and petrochemicals. And also the demand is mostly for both same activities. So we don't have a green market developed yet, but at least for in the analysis model for the net zero emission, if we are following both recommendation and the engagement from the countries to reach the net zero greenhouse gas emission, there is a need to develop firstly new production from electricity using electrolyzers or from fossil fuel with carbon capture systems to feed with hydrogen new demand, which would be synthetic fuels and power production, for example. Right now, so you will see several times the word, the acronym FID. It means Final Investment Decision. If you didn't know it, it means that the energy project is actually reaching the last decision from policy and private actors, and that it should be starting construction soon. That doesn't mean that the plant is already in action. It just means that we are reaching the moment where okay, this is a viable product, and we just need to fine-tune where we are going. So right now we have 1.7 million tons of hydrogen planned in FID to be produced in terms for 2023, and in 2024 we reached almost doubled this quantity. So what this means that even if we are still lacking green and clean hydrogen production, we are looking, there is development in the market, and right now we are moving toward a more prominent part of this. And if we check the announced projects for the Horizon 2030, we see that only 7% have reached this final investment decision, meaning they are almost ready to start construction or installation, and the rest is mostly in the feasibility study or just early stage, and a very, very little share of those projects are actually already operational. So this is still a developing field right now, which is painful why it's difficult for us to start to have an actual data collection since it's so few information there. And so if we also compare the amount that is planned to be electrolyzed, so produced from electricity or with fossil fuel using carbon capture system to reduce emissions, we see that right now, 2024, most of the plans are for electrolyzers, and by 2030, we expect more than 3/4 of the hydrogen production to be by electrolyzers. And who will be producing those electrolyzers? It will be most probably China. Chinese industries, after dominance of the solar panel photovoltaic and electric vehicles production, it seems to be now moving towards the electrolyzer market with a huge increase of the electrolyzer capacity within the country. It represented half of the total increase between 2022 and 2023. And again, between 2023 and 2024, the increase of capacity of electrolyzers is also getting mostly driven by China. So they have become quite the main operator in terms of electrolyzers installed within the country. and that also accounts for most of the low emission hydrogen production in so China for electrolyzer, but most of the low emission production from fossil fuel though are coming from North America and European, so mostly from more installed bigger petrochemical industry in that case. I see just one question on the chat regarding if a specific type of hydrogen is called blue hydrogen. In our methodology, we are trying to avoid the color denomination of hydrogen. We will see later why when we talk about our methodology for choices. But yeah, so we are not really focusing on the color of hydrogen. And so China is not only installing in the electrolyzers on its territory, it's also preparing to manufacture electrolyzers to export them to other countries as well. So we have also a big market that will be developed and led by the Chinese authorities probably in the coming years. So as you can see on the slide on the graph on the right, by 2030, we expect that more than a quarter of all electrolyzer production will be coming from China. But for now, most of those production of electrolyzer are mostly announced or not specified when they will be in action. So it's again a lot of plan and development right now, but in actual production, we are not there yet. But one of the other interests of hydrogen, that it can lead to more energy security by being deployed everywhere in the world, unlike wind or solar PV. It's not too much dependent on weather conditions, and also it can be used as stocks for those electricity generated by those other renewable energy communities. So right now we have production of hydrogen that is focused mostly on OECD member countries, and adding to that India, China, and most of the Saudi Arabia and Arabic oil producing countries. So as you can guess, it's coming mostly from oil and gas and petrochemical industries that are in any case producing hydrogen within their activities. And we also see here the planned electrolyzer projects that are coming, hopefully coming by 2030 in specific locations. So you can see it's a worldwide development happening right now. One of the issues that we are encountering right now is that we have targets in demand and a production, so policies that say we want to reach 11 metric tons of hydrogen used in our industries by a specific date. But right now, the countries are not producing enough production to meet this target demand. So we have this issue, and we have also the differences between the announced projects, the targets that are in place, and the overall demand that we present. Right now, we have several policies that are declared, but the industries are yet to align and to meet those policies and those declaration of interest. To finish with the key trends right now, we have the interests of hydrogen as also a trading commodity right now, and this is planned to be the case. Most of the hydrogen is traded under the form of ammonia, which is a more safe and easy way to transport it. Using petrochemical sector, you can transform hydrogen into ammonia, and it's easier to transport by boat. You can also have hydrogen traded by pipelines, but that require a lot of safety measures because hydrogen is highly explosive, so you need to need to have it safe. And as for the production and demand part, we have a big difference between what is planned to be happening by 2030 and what is actually ready for action in trade. And in terms of key players that we are expecting, the main exporters are planned to be Australia and the Americas. And the key importers, yet we don't exactly know, but we know already that Europe will be one of the big importers in case because of the interest there is to switch from fossil fuel to hydrogen in many industries, especially iron and steel in Europe. And that will be the same also for India and China, probably. And right now, we just have a few announced projects regarding hydrogen transmission through pipeline and underground storage capacity. So there's nothing concrete put into place within the country. And we see on the right that there's a need of a big acceleration within the countries into development to actually reach the targets by 2050. So those were a few key extracts from the Global Hydrogen Review. As I told you, the report is available online for free, so please go check it and you will see it's very interesting how the development are going right now. But now let's talk more about data and how we want to collect information on hydrogen. So we do through few definitions, and then we check a little bit more in detail how we plan the balance to be further. This might, of course, change in the communities depending on how we realize what is more useful or not for data users. So first, hydrogen. So usually is represented by H2. It's a gas, it's odorless, it's not a toxic gas, but it's highly combustible. So which explains partly why industries and infrastructure need to be highly developed and worked on. We chose for all of the data related to hydrogen to work in terajoules with an approximate NCV of 140 megajoule per kilograms. So 3 times the energy content of gasoline, just to give you a way to represent yourself the potency of this fuel. And for this new questionnaire, we wanted to cover all production. So let's say you have a electrolyzer that is made to produce hydrogen, we are collecting that, of course. But if you have a refinery that is producing oil products and as a byproduct a little bit of hydrogen, we want also to cover that. And even if it's produced to be reused directly within the refinery, we want to try to develop a way to monitor all of the usage of hydrogen right now. Did not specify it in both slides, but it could be interesting to know that right now hydrogen is mostly included in our old questionnaire in the other hydrocarbons, which lead to issues right now to monitor what is happening. So that's why also we wanted to develop this annual questionnaire. Also for hydrogen, because we want to do some proper accounting of the usage right now, we will cover energy and non-energy uses, such as we do for the oil products, but secondary oil products, but we are also covering both because we want to have a proper accounting of all the quantities. And as I was saying before, we are not talking about clean hydrogen or green hydrogen. We're talking only about the molecule itself. And there will be a way later we'll see to distinguish what if you want to activate a renewable or not category to this energy commodity. Just one thing, we are not considering hydrogen present in compounds because otherwise we would be covering almost all of molecules existing. So it's still the gas that we are focusing on. And also although we are covering the hydrogen production as a byproduct, we are not considering it when it's just an intermediately product. Meaning if you have a pipe in which a transformation is happening And during this transformation, at some point, it's H2, and then it's immediately transferred to something else. We don't want to cover that concept. It's just to clarify things there. In addition, in this new questionnaire, we are covering two other categories of fuels, which is ammonia. So as we discussed before, it's a relevant commodity for worldwide exchange. And most of the application for this products is in non-energy use, but it can also be used in energy use in energy carrier. And it has many interaction with hydrogen in terms of production and transport. So that's why we want to try to monitor it if possible. And just as key elements right now, like 2/3 of ammonia production on the world, more than 2/3 is actually coming from natural gas used in petrochemicals. So it's mostly coming from this industry in any case. And then we have a last category that we called other synthetic fuel and e-fuels. So e-fuel for electrofuels. And we include there other fuel of non-biological origin, LFNBO. So we include there kind of all the new technologies and new energy commodities that are being developed right now and that are not matching per se most of the definition we have for the other energy commodities. So it's kind of a way also to try to cover new energy commodities here. Electrofuels, to sum up very briefly, because the chemistry behind that is a bit more complex. It's when you are mixing captured CO2 molecules with hydrogen molecules to generate a new hydrocarbon chain that can be used as a fuel. So when we say many interaction with hydrogen, it means that the production or the activities of those various commodities is either coming from hydrogen or can be used to produce hydrogen. For example, ammonia, you can use literally you use hydrogen partly to produce ammonia, and then you can use ammonia to extract back hydrogen from there. And the issue it's coming from or other. It's another transformation that can be happening. The main difficulty for the last category is that it's not clearly defined all of the fuels that have been developed right now. And we have been developing this new questionnaire also in partnership with the SIC. As Nicolas told you in the first presentation today, we have undergoing revision for the energy commodities certification, and that includes also the addition of those new energy commodities. So right now we are still working on the new definition and what will be covering in those. The balance itself, it's mostly similar to what we might see in the rest of the energy commodities. So we have a supply and demand part. In the demand, you will have a transformation, transformation into other energy commodities, energy sector on use, and then final consumption, in which we cover both energy use and non-energy use. The main differences will be mostly on the supply part, where we will be covering both the transformation from other activities and details on the electrolysis activity. So the production from other energy activities, that means that if we are steam reforming from natural gas to produce hydrogen, that's where it will be reported. Or if you are doing some toll gasification to produce hydrogen, that's also where you would report that. And we distinguish, if possible, the activities that are with or without carbon capture and storage system. So to actually start a distinction between what can be considered clean hydrogen and the rest. And regarding electrolysis, we are...
Nicolas, sorry to interrupt you, but could you have a microphone closer somehow? But we are losing you a little bit.
Sorry, it should be better this way.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry about that. I hope it was clear, at least for the rest of you. So electrolysis, we will be covering, to sum up electrolysis, very, again, it's very synthetic with a summary of what this is. You put an anode and a cathode into a water tank and with a filtering membrane, and the circulation of electricity through the water will induce a separation of molecules and produce hydrogen from them. It's a very simplified version of it, just to really explain things. So the main key element is that you need to induce electricity into the electrolyzers. And depending on the origin of your electricity, that might impact if you consider it a clean or not hydrogen production. So if you are just pulling electricity from the grid, it just will be assuming that it is the same amount of CO2 emission coming from it, but your electricity generation for the grid. But if you have a direct line, so a direct connection between your electrolyzers and an electricity producer, then we can also get a better clear picture for that. For a case that we see being developed in some countries, that solar plants or wind plants are directly connected to an electrolyzer so that they are always producing either electricity for the grid, or if the electricity is not useful for the grid right now because the demand is not high enough, they are producing hydrogen so that they store the output, the excedent of electricity produced from those plants. But for that, we need to have what we call a direct line. So meaning it's not the electrolyzer is buying electricity from the electricity provider, but he's saying, okay, you are buying 70% renewables there. It's not that. We are really focusing on direct line into the electrolyzers. For ammonia, it's a little bit more easy. Just you report the amount coming from specific fuels if needed. As well for ammonia, it's mostly coming from natural gas. And for e-fuel, again, it's coming from other energy commodities or directly from hydrogen. So we'll have a specific line in the table for that. For the trade of hydrogen, and I see I'm a little bit late, so I will try to accelerate. Sorry about that. We are focusing, as for other fossil fuel, on the country of origin and the final destination of the trade. We won't be reporting re-exportation of the commodity. And most of the hydrogen trade is done right now by pipeline or transported through ammonia or methyl cyclohexane. It's another possibility of transformation, chemical transformation, to transport the molecules in a more stable way and less explosive, hopefully. So we want to monitor with this questionnaire the transformation losses that we will have in all those activities, and we have a specific line for that in the EQ as well. And that's a remark I put here, but it's, if you are using this new questionnaire, I really invite you to use the remark sheet a lot, because as all those activities, production and demand are sometimes really country specific, we need still to collect also a lot of qualitative information on what is happening in the country, what are the development, and what is expected to be happening in the coming years. So please really not hesitate to use the remark sheet to detail there what is happening and what you want to represent with the data you input. Or if you have doubts also, simply if you don't have enough information to properly report things. That's also important for us to know. In the transformation, it's roughly the same for now as what you would have seen in many other energy commodities. So you can use hydrogen to produce electricity or heat, or to be using gas for gas, and in production of ammonia and electrofuels. And also you have a specific part within the refinery for production for hydrogen, because it is used mostly right now in refining activities to produce specific secondary oil products. So that's all the activities that you could monitor with this questionnaire. So yes, I'm already late, so I will go briefly. I will invite you to go check on our website if you want to download the annual questionnaire and have a look at it. See if you have data already that could be used for that. But some key point is that for right now we have 6 tables in this questionnaire. The first 2 related to supply, then we have 2 on consumption, demand, and then we have 2 on trade, and one last one related to the capacity reporting, if you can, on the nameplate capacity for the electrolyzers or the various other productions. And also this new questionnaire will have a lot of relationships and shared information with the rest of the commodity questionnaire that we have already at the IEA. The most obvious one will be the amount of hydrogen inputs to petroleum refinery should be matched also what is reporting, should match what is reporting in the oil questionnaire, but at the same way, the electrolyzers electricity inputs should be also reported in the electricity and heat questionnaire and in on table 1 for indigenous production. So those are the type of relationship that we will be using also to double check the data and make sure that things made sense in the data that we are receiving. Here is an extract for just a screenshot of the questionnaire right now. So that will do, we account for all hydrogen in our questionnaire. So you can just report here if it's coming from a transformation from another energy commodity, or if it's coming from electrolysis with different direct line possibilities. And finally, we have a last part there to if you are like producing ammonia from hydrogen or electrofuel from ammonia, etc. So just so that you have the flexibility there to report everything. And as again, units that we have decided to use is terajoules in net calorific values. In the transformation part, so you should find the same total production that you had in the table 1, and then you can report there the inputs into various transformation as you will see in most of our data annual questionnaires. With specific lines for natural gas blending, if you are blending hydrogen with the rest of with other gases, or if you are like transforming, also doing another transformation from one fuel to the other. And we have specific transformation losses lines because we wanted to try to match more what is happening in real life. And finally, on the final consumption part, so as I told you, we are really trying to do a proper accounting of all the uses of hydrogen and the rest of the fuels right now. So we are accounting for both energy and non-energy use in that case. So depending on the sector, it might not be at all relevant. Like I don't see a non-energy use of hydrogen in residential sector for now, but we wanted to have the possibilities for it to be reported in as many places as possible. And with that, it's the end of this short introduction to our current work to develop this new data collection system. So a few questions. So yes, in the chat, but if you have more, please do not hesitate, because it's the last presentation of the day. And otherwise, again, do not hesitate to check our other publication online and see what we are sharing already. Thank you, everyone.